house burned down.
Who?
Mista.
Jason, you are on.
Oh, good morning, you guys. It is Thursday, January 9th, and today is National Balloon Ascension Day because, of course, we need more things in the air like drones.
Starting fires, right?
UFOs. It's time. Take us now.
Yep. It's also National Shop for Travel Day, which I guess is kind of ironic because a lot of people, unfortunately, are having to travel out of LA right now because of all these evacuations. It's very, very unfortunate. I know a lot of people. I got a shit ton of texts from all kinds of people that I hadn't heard from in forever, just asking if we were okay and whatnot. And I know a lot of you guys did as well. And we want to make sure that we send all the love to everyone that reached out that cared to make sure that we were okay. And we also want to send out our love to everybody that was affected because these fires are devastating and there is a ton of people that are feeling these effects and whatnot. And so we want to just our thoughts and prayers are with all of them through this. It's also National Static Electricity Day, Rico. Maybe that was the cause of the fire.
The space laser, right?
I think it was the space lasers for sure.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know anymore. I spend too much time on Twitter. I question everything now.
Fair enough. Fair enough, you guys.
Be a skeptic.
Yeah.
Rico.
Right?
I was already
Kickoff 2025.
Exactly. Man, oh man, you guys. And you're gonna love this one, Rico. This is gonna be your favorite day of the day. That's right. Pow, 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 bang, 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 because it is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
The good cop.
Shout out to the good cops out there. The good cops, that's for sure.
Good ones.
Yes.
Yeah. They are. There's a few good apples. Put it that way.
Yeah, that's, you know what I'm saying. There's more good apples than bad apples. I'll say that.
No, there's not.
Yeah, there is. There's more. There's more good than bad for sure. For sure. Yes.
Lies and propaganda.
Of course, we know because that's what you say. That's what the Democrats do. You know what I'm saying? They accuse them of what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
They have a lot more interest and a lot more incentive to hire more bad apples. Just put it that way.
That's cute. Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. That's right. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet, and we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And kicking it off today, that's right, we have the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte. Man, supporting LA with a Dodger cap today. Look at that. It is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Oh yeah, Jason. Please take care of yourself, all the Los Angelinos and everybody around the area. Reach out if you need help. If not with us, we know people. Just stay safe and keep your eyes open. And
lots of people that we know have been affected by this. It's very, very true.
Right on. My story today, man. I'm just glad that the Dale's in to comment on this one today. Just put it that way.
A
Portland man sues his local dispensary for selling what he claims to be extreme THC doses. Will the dispensary be countersuing the Oregonian for his failure to disclose what that he was an extreme lightweight? I wonder. I'm sure. Hey, I'm glad that Dale's in the house today to comment because I am not a legal expert. But according to Oregon Live's Amy Green, Sky Fitzgerald, a self-proclaimed inexperienced cannabis user, filed a $10,000 lawsuit against Arcana, a Portland cannabis shop, claiming their employee recommended an excessive THC dose that caused severe health issues. The man says that after consuming about 40 milligrams of THC from a syrup product on Arcana's shelves, he experienced symptoms including vomiting, motor dysfunction, and required hospital care that doctors diagnosed as a THC overdose. Fitzgerald alleges that a store employee advised him to follow the bottle's instructions and consume about a capful, equaling approximately The article from Washington and British Columbia recommend first-time users start with significantly lower doses of 2.5 to 5 milligrams of THC, and the state of Oregon's own regulatory guidelines cap edible serving sizes at 10 milligrams per serving. There is no limit to THC serving sizes for tinctures or concentrates. Interesting loophole indeed. After consuming the syrup, Fitzgerald says that he suffered muscle spasms, elevated heart rate, nausea, vomiting, and the inability to walk unassisted. Arcana's managing director, Chris Snyder, said that the product was OLCC approved and claimed that the employee advised only a few drops of the syrup, not a capful, like Fitzgerald claims. Snyder likened the situation to alcohol consumption, noting that tolerance varies by individual and comparing it to bartenders estimating alcohol effects. Fitzgerald's lawsuit does not name the product manufacturer, but prompted the store to stop selling the syrup after his complaint. He filed in Multnomah County Circuit Court, and the lawsuit seeks $10,000 compensation for the incident. Fitzgerald says that he aims to hold the store accountable for guidance that he received, which allegedly led to his overdose. This highlights concerns about dosage recommendations and consumer safety in the cannabis industry. But what's the angle here? There's always an angle, and if you follow the money, $10,000 seems like just enough to keep this thing in the small claims court arena, and probably a waste of time for the dispensary to show up for that shit. And if you were to dig a little bit deeper, you'd also find that Mr. Fitzgerald is also a Clackamas County documentary filmmaker and two-time Academy Award nominee, though he's never returned home with an Oscar in hand. Surprise, surprise. I wonder what his next project will be about. I'm no legal expert, so I can't call it either way, and that's why I'm going to kick this thing to Dale Schaefer to follow it up. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, for High at 9 News. What do you think about this, Dale?
It's going to be a liar's contest. Okay? That's why I tell people, be careful going to court, because it turns into a liar's contest, and it costs a lot of money to prove or disprove lies. The other thing, just as a fundamental, is that your employees have to act reasonably, that you have a standard of care that you owe to your clientele, if you will. And that's going to be an issue that I don't think anybody's quite worked out. What's the line? What's the standard of practice for advising people on how to consume cannabis? I don't know. That bottle, I don't know why they're not bringing the manufacturer in. If on the bottle they're claiming that there's, bad advice on the side of the bottle, that's a product's liability issue. And the dispensing store is looking at some liability for perhaps some negligence of what they told them if they can prove it. But just as a general statement, I started doing consumption talks with people a quarter century ago, and the mantra is start low and slow. But the other side of it is that you can't die from an overdose of weed. So right. I don't care how much you take. Mm-hmm. So this guy's now got to prove his damages. How are you damaged? Well, I ran to the doctor. Why? Okay. Why'd you run if you take too much alcohol and puke, do you run to the emergency room and say, I'm overdosing on alcohol? No, you fucking pussy. You take care of it. And somebody teaches you, don't drink so much. You got a headache on Sunday morning? You drink so much on Saturday night, you fucking idiot.
Right.
I don't have a lot of sympathy for this guy because I'm relatively lightweight. Too much THC knocks my ass out.
Dale, how do you spell sympathy? Because I know how I spell it.
Well, in the dictionary, you find it between shit and syphilis. So look it up. I don't have a lot. If you're going to go use weed and you're going to claim I'm naive, I don't know what I'm doing here. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of sympathy. There's a lot of information out there. And our society gets hysterical. Oh, I run the doctor. Oh my God, my kid took too much weed. I worked in an emergency room for years, going to undergrad. We had a lot of people bring their, kid in, and my kid ate my fucking brownie. Mm-hmm. We'd go in the hallway and kind of chuckle, you idiot, we're going to keep CPS out of this. But I also watched the little kid die from an overdose of Tylenol because the parents weren't taking care of the bottle. Yeah. So there are some real concerns you have about overdose of some substances, but for weed, don't try to drive, for God's sakes. Don't try to fly a plane. Don't operate dangerous equipment the first time you take a gummy or you take a cap full of some tincture.
Yep.
You're a fucking idiot. I would point that out to the jury. I wouldn't use fuck. That's why I don't go to court anymore, because I say fuck too much after prison. But you get the point across to them. This person's got rectal myopia, and they're trying to come in here and get you to save them from being so fucking stupid. They want you to give them $10,000 for just not even following common sense. Or fuck that. And brought them in.
Or is
it even worth them showing up to small claims court? Because $10,000 is just at the limit. Like I would have thought if he was in such bad shape that I'd be suing for way more than that.
Well, the thing is that there's only so much liability they can say, because Cannabis hasn't ever killed anybody in that sense, Rico. So he's not going to have as big of a claim.
Yeah, I wonder if he had a hidden camera when he walked in and ordered this shit.
What it does is it takes the attorneys out and the experts out. Okay.
So it's cheaper for him. You're saying it's cheaper for him.
Oh, yeah, small claims, and then even a limited. California has a limited liability. I think it's 50,000. I don't follow it that much anymore. But if you don't have claims to a certain level, you get very limited access to the court, limited discovery, things like that. They really trim down the cases. But in small claims, you show up and a representative from the company shows up. I doubt either of them have much expertise, although you might send somebody in who's a sommelier or something that actually can claim a foundation of understanding and tell the judge, this guy's really, in legalese full of shit. But, the insurance company's going to pay this. They may have something to say about this. I've been hired to go in and educate small claims people a bit about how to put a case on, and they typically win, and the insurance company doesn't have to pay shit.
Yeah.
We found an actual use for the Ganjier program, Jason.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Oregon Cannabis is not doing so hot, man. This little bullshit lawsuit might put them in the gutter.
They're gonna be fine. They got plenty of hemp and shit.
Bad.
I mean, you know what I think of when I think Oregon Cannabis? It's too strong. Come the fuck on, dude.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think of. Outdoor booth factory is what I think of. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now. I feel like this guy, man. This guy, 40 milligrams, put him in the gutter.
Hey, you know what? But in all fairness, this guy didn't smoke weed. He took it as an edible.
So he says.
Well, so he says. So allegedly. Okay, fine, cool, whatever.
He's a documentary filmmaker, and he's been a 2-time Oscar nominee. I'm sure he's been to a couple of after parties and partook in a couple.
It sounds like this guy was trying to do a remake of Super Jaime.
Well, It doesn't even matter because, we know that smoking and consuming edibles metabolize completely different in your body. And it's a completely different effect, right? There are people who could smoke you under the table that would fucking throw up on 50 milligrams of an edible, right? Just because their body's like, oh, yeah.
I don't know about throw up, but probably pass out.
I mean, whatever. How many people have you heard be like, I can't do edibles? No.
Well, that's me. I don't like edibles. I become totally useless. Like my legs become rubber bands and stuff. Like I don't like the high at all from.
So we're gonna
edibles.
feed Jason Beck 40 milligrams.
I have a higher tolerance than that. Yes. 40 milligrams.
So both sides were talking about this in the story, Dale, and the shop owner or the man is claiming that the bud tender told him to follow the directions on the bottle.
Well,
right?
That's it.
And yeah, right.
The shop shouldn't be involved.
Right. The shop owner says that the bud tender told him to take a couple of drops, not what it says on the bottle as a capful. But the man is not suing the manufacturer here. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting.
So you're saying, Rico, he could be barking up the wrong tree.
Yes. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm calling this shit a hit piece, allegedly. Right? I don't want to get sued by this.
It's a hit. I see what you're saying because he took a hit of that drink. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Allegedly.
He needs some money to fund his next project. So
exactly.
There it is, Slade. You said it, not me.
Maybe Stone. He was trying to hit the high road, Stone.
Hey. Maybe I just posted that the pilot episode.
Yeah.
I too need funding to continue. So maybe I need to follow this guy's road here, and I'm gonna start suing some pot shops.
I mean,
maybe this dude took a ride in that ambulance down the Hershey Highway. That's where he went.
Yeah, we know what Stone's going to be doing his next trip to Colorado and Oklahoma. He's going to be chasing ambulances.
What's that?
He's going to be chasing ambulances.
Yeah.
You can make some money doing that as a lawyer, but as the injured party, not so much.
Steve Blassingham in the chat says edibles give me a hangover. I'm with him on that.
No, they do.
You ever have a weed over in the morning?
Multiple stories that we've. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah.
We've had multiple stories covered that says that there is no hangover, but every time I do edibles, man, I'm high for the next day and sometimes the day after that.
Yeah,
I feel like it's hard to get going in the morning. It's for me. It's but it's more for me. I feel like distillate. If I do the good quality hash rosin gummy, the same.
Stop it! Your body doesn't know the difference from rosin and fucking distillate. Stop it, bro. You smoke Delta 8, bro. Stop it.
You don't know. You don't want to eat edibles, Jason.
Does Delta 8 give hangovers?
Yeah, exactly. It's weed light.
What were you gonna say, Cole?
Oh, I was just going to say that, I get this person's perspective and it sucks they went through something that's uncomfortable, but I feel like this is a great story about personal freedom. This person was in the mood to do something out of the ordinary, and that's what they got. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no long-term impact on their health. They just have this wild story right now. And, one thing that worries me, and I'm glad that there are shows like High at 9, is the coverage of drugs. And this is a quote that I looked up by Hamilton Morris before we got on the show.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. That's the guy that was on Vice that went around and did all the drugs and documented his trips, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
He also made this hat.
White women love him.
It's because he looks like Poindexter.
Well, anyways, in the coverage of drugs, he said one thing that worries him about the way that cannabis, kratom, and psychedelics are presented is that it's always couched in they're safe, they're therapeutic, they're spiritual, they're historical, but that's not the point. Even if all those things were true and there is some debate, eventually someone will find a weakness in that armor. Someone may die. Maybe they haven't been used as long as you thought that they were used. Maybe they don't work therapeutically. So then what? Do we go back to prohibition? No. That's why we need to emphasize cognitive liberty. We need to emphasize people's right to explore these alternate states of consciousness, regardless of whether or not they're safe, therapeutic, traditional, or spiritual. The point isn't that it's safe or any of those other things. The point is that if you want to live in a free society, you have to be allowed to take a certain amount of risk. I mean, I ride a motorcycle. My mom doesn't like that. It's probably the most risky thing I do, in the summer. We're allowed to fly.
So you don't
planes,
do it in the winter?
Buy guns. No, not often. Not often. A little cold out here in Illinois.
Do they let you guys split lanes yet in Illinois?
No.
Yeah, that's the one reason why I never learned how to ride when I was back in Chicago, man. Like
because you wanted to split lanes.
It's safer.
He loves splitting lanes. You know what I'm saying? That's what he specializes in.
Someone opens the door on you, right?
Cole, I have a question. about something you said, Cole.
Yeah.
You called it kratom. Isn't it kratom? Is that are you trying to do a wordplay because I always call it Illinois?
No, I think I may have just mispronounced it. I believe it's actually pronounced kratom, but I'm not gonna commit to that.
Kratom, huh? So as you're saying, it's French.
I don't even know, honestly.
I'm gonna start calling it crotum.
Oh
there you go.
Man, you could always replace the K with an S, and you know what I'm saying, come up with something else too.
Crotum.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Dale.
Scrotum.
All right.
And I just one other thought on this story. I just do you ever go to liquor stores and ask how much should I drink of that? I just think this is a weird dichotomy that exists with cannabis. And as Dale was saying earlier, there's plenty of stuff you can read online. There's a lot of advice you can follow. Go low, go slow.
You could watch High at Night News every single day.
Much empathy. Or sympathy.
Yeah, this is what made me doubt. He could be telling the truth, and I appreciate you taking a more pragmatic approach to your comments on the story. But he's a documentary filmmaker, an award-winning documentary filmmaker. I find it very hard to believe that he went in there without doing his own fucking research before he started guzzling this syrup. Like, that's your first product. You go in there
exactly, bro. You're already looking. You go in to buy syrup,
man.
bro. You're already exactly. That's the first thing you buy. Like that's you got what you're looking for. But Brian Dombrowski in the chat, he calls it a hippie hangover from edibles.
I like that.
I'm not mad at that. I'm mad at that.
Is hippie been a canceled word yet? Is that a triggering word?
Not yet. Not yet.
Wow.
You're still allowed to say that?
I mean,
Did you look at the time?
Yeah, we got to keep this rolling. We're gonna roll into our commercial. And we're gonna be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Guys, yes, indeed.
Up next is none other than the High 9 News head honcho. You can catch him scouring the internet and Twitter to be exact, looking for
It's
conspiracy
X, bro.
theories
It's
to
X.
go off of.
It's X.
It'll never be X.
Only liberals call it Twitter.
It's Twitter because it triggers you. Aren't you triggered, Jason?
It's like calling it.
Keep on calling it.
Exactly. It's, you guys always fucking shit up.
Here to give us our second story of the day, none other than Jason Beck.
Oh, yes, you guys. Good morning. Happy Thursday, you guys. Man, do I have a fascinating story for you. And Cole, I hope you can hear this because I know you are going to want to hear this, you guys. Man, oh man, because a Florida court ruling, you guys. That's right, Florida man. We love Florida man over here because drug-sniffing dogs can't justify searches based off marijuana scent alone, you guys. Look at this, Dale. You're going to love this. In a decision that could significantly impact police searches in Florida, a state appeals court has ruled that a drug-sniffing dog's alert to the presence of marijuana cannot, on its own, justify a warrantless search of a vehicle. That's great news, you guys. The ruling issued on Tuesday by the 5th District Court of Appeals stems from a 2020 case in Lake County where a police officer stopped a car for speeding and non-functioning tag lights. A drug-sniffing dog subsequently alerted to the presence of drugs in the vehicle, leading to a search that uncovered illegal drugs, you guys. The defendant, Stephen Ford, driving a Ford, argued that the dog's alert was insufficient to justify the search because the dog could not differentiate between legal medical marijuana and illegal marijuana. The appeals court agreed, stating that the officer had no way of knowing whether the dog had detected a legal or illegal substance. In a quote, they say, "Going forward, that dog won't hunt," wrote Chief Judge James Edwards in the ruling, emphasizing that an alert to marijuana alone cannot provide probable cause for a warrantless search. This decision builds upon a 2024 ruling by the same court that prohibited police officers from using the smell of marijuana as the sole basis for a vehicle search. Judge Jordan Pratt, in a concurring opinion, acknowledged the, in quotes, collateral consequences, you guys, of cannabis legalization and emphasized the need for law enforcement to adapt their practices. While this ruling may complicate some police searches, the court suggested alternative approaches such as specializing dog training, training dogs to differentiate between cannabis and other illegal drugs, as well as a officer inquiry, combining a dog's alert with officer questioning to rule out the presence of legal cannabis. Although the court agreed with Ford's argument, it upheld his conviction due to a, in quotes, good faith exemption, stating that the officer acted in accordance with the legal precedent at the time of the search. However, the court made it clear that this ruling will apply to future cases in the 5th District, which covers a significant portion of Central and North Florida, you guys. Well, look at this. Law enforcement in Florida cannot use the smell of marijuana to bust your car anymore, so I guess if you're in Orlando all the way up to the Panhandle, this is going to be a significant ruling that law enforcement is going to have to adapt to. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this, and I have a couple things to say as well. And apparently Brian Dabrowski has something to say as well, because he threw in a big old super chat that says, I got you today since you are busy, Cole.
Well, just after California passed,
what's that, Dale?
just after California passed Prop 64 and it took effect, there was a shitload of drug dogs in California had to be retired.
Yeah.
Because you can't differentiate between hemp and marijuana, or legal marijuana or illegal, because the dogs are trained to sniff the terpenes.
Exactly.
They're not
exactly right. Exactly right, Dale. They're trained to smell 4 different terpenes that are extremely prevalent in all forms of cannabis, whether that be marijuana, hemp, whatever you want to call it, because it's all cannabis, sativa L, and THCA at the end of the day anyway. But yes, you are 100% correct on that. They don't actually smell for weed. They smell for the terpenes that exist in weed, and so therefore they can't use that as probable cause anymore. Shout out to Florida.
I'm not a big fan of the use of exigent circumstances to get around the 4th Amendment warrant requirement. That's just what they're doing here. So they claim, you could drive off. Well, yeah, you could hold me here. The courts have already ruled you can't hold them there forever on the side of the road until you either get a warrant or you do some reasonable inquiry, decide whether you're going to stop them or not. The entire playbook that the cops have been handed over the last 50 years to get around the 4th Amendment is irritating to me. And, the cops don't want to have to work. And I've represented a number of them, and I've had these discussions. They want a quick way to get probable cause to hook you up and take you away. Same thing with stopping if you're under the influence. Some of these roadside tests are just absolutely fucking stupid. They do them anyway to get around the warrant requirements. And I'm more of a traditionalist. Make them do their job. Follow them for a while, document that I'm going outside the lines, then stop them. And you've got some evidence. But I think we need to stop this nonsense that we're tracking down people with weed. Just, what's the problem here? This is not the issue. People are more dangerous drinking, or, if you just shot up heroin, try to drive a car, you should not be doing things like that. We should all be conscious of safety on the road. Get as fucked up as you want to be. Just don't drive a car.
Yeah. Dale, Ron White, comedian Ron White.
Oh, yeah. Ron White used to shop in my store.
Really?
Yeah.
That is freaking awesome. That is awesome. Well, one of my favorite quotes from him when he was telling a joke, and he said he was asked to participate in a sobriety test. And he said, that's not a sobriety test. That's an agility test. And I'm not very fucking agile. But I just wanted to say, people should look this up. This is a big win for the people of Florida. In Illinois and sunny Illinois.
You mean Illinois?
You can still use canines to search a vehicle. And my question, I wonder with Florida, if they're not allowed to use these dogs anymore. A big story that was reported by multiple outlets. I'll say the phrase or the headline if people want to Google it. In 2018. Police officers claimed in Illinois, as Jason says, that if we make pot legal, they'll have to euthanize the dogs. I wonder, what they're going to do with the dogs in Florida. My last thought before
as long as they don't do what they do with the dogs out in Ohio, what I'm saying? Don't want to eat the dogs and eat the cats.
That's an absolute lie. They're going to do the same thing they do with any other retired police dog, and it goes and lives with its officer for the rest of its natural fucking life. It chases laser pointers and has a good fucking day with the kiddos.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I know this is a story about Florida, and again, we should be really happy for Floridians right now. There was recently a push, and I'll talk about this briefly later in my story, to remove the ability for drug sniffing dogs to be used on cannabis, and that was ultimately as you reported, I believe on High at 9 News, the Supreme Court ruled that the smell of raw cannabis can still be used as probable cause in Illinois, and as a result, and
only,
I published
only
this
if it's raw.
Right, only if it's raw.
They like it raw in Illinois. They like it raw in Illinois.
They like it raw in Illinois. If you look up the 2024 annual cannabis reports, there's a section for the Illinois State Police, and they said that they are going to start imprinting new canines. And if you're wondering why for raw cannabis, they don't want people trafficking large amounts through the state. Anyway,
I mean, what I said when we said that, right? Because if it smells like fresh cannabis, right, then you could, have maybe gotten excited and popped your jar open before you got home to check out what you got from the dispensary. But more than likely, if there's a huge, strong smell of fresh cannabis, you probably got a fucking quarter box in the back.
Well, this is my thing. Fresh cannabis, I think, can be misleading, because to me, the definition of fresh cannabis is like when you chop it off the vine and you still smell all that chlorophyll and everything. Jenny Beth, it's not necessarily fresh cannabis, like it's a strong aroma of cannabis.
Chlorophyl's over here talking about borophyll again, but you know that they mean the difference between consumed and smoked.
I'm just telling you what the difference between fresh and because it's not fresh. It's not fresh after it's dried.
I'm telling you what the definition of the law means, right? So fresh cannabis means that it has not been smoked, right? Burnt cannabis smells completely fucking different.
Okay. And to your point, Jenny Beth, that's absolutely on target. First of all, the term burnt cannabis is becoming a little dated because people vape their cannabis now. So I wonder how that plays.
That has a smell too. It smells like popcorn.
But also, I agree. Also, I've been studying this plant for years, and you can still fool me sometimes on the smell. Did you just burn it, or did you just open up a jar? And I've been trying to, my mom used to get mad at me all the time when I was in high school. Cole, did you smoke pot in here? No, I was just rolling it, as if that made it better. Most people can't tell the difference between. But anyways, I didn't mean to take us on an Illinois tangent.
What if it's a dry vape?
Yeah.
Well, that's the question that lawyers are asking right now. Actually, we don't know.
Yeah. It's vague and ambiguous, and that should not be the basis to put somebody in jail.
Fair enough.
Full stop.
Speaking of putting people in jail, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into Mr. Dale Schaefer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration and has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, correction officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license, you guys. That's right. He's blunt, not smokes blunts, and he's honest, unconcerned with your public opinions and your crying and whatnot, and will tell you how and show you how to defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is none other than your favorite Tio Loco, and you can find him at the law office of Mr. Dale Schaefer.
Thank you, Jason. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Cole, to the show. It's the first time we've been on with you. So fasten your seatbelts here, okay? My story comes out of Marijuana Moment by Carl Yeager, written on the 7th. And the headline is, Federal Court reaffirms that ban on gun ownership for people who occasionally use marijuana is unconstitutional. Now, I've covered multiple of these weed gun cases over the last couple of years as courts have begun to focus in on how stupid this federal law is. There's a federal law out there that says you cannot possess a gun while you are an unlawful user of a controlled substance. And that term right there is just so vague and ambiguous. Courts are beginning to focus in on what it means. Now, Mr. Thomas, he got stopped, and, I don't know how they got into his car, but they found a gun. They found some residue of marijuana. Okay? And so he was charged under this federal statute, and he was convicted. And it went to the appellate court, and the appellate court said, no, we're not going to do this. Okay. It went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, no, send it back down to the appellate court. We want a further clarification. And that's what we just got. And what they focused in on is that historically, people who might be under the influence of a substance, and we're talking more like alcohol, which really fucks you up. Maybe you took some laudanum and you can't stand up. You're dangerous. Okay. Now, are you dangerous per se? Every time that happens, are you dangerous enough to take your gun away? That's something that I think needs to be figured out. But this federal law says that if you're an unlawful user of controlled substances, so the federal government took the position that because we found weed in your possession, you're an unlawful user. And the court said that's not enough. The burden put on the federal government was not enough. Historically, you had to be at the moment dangerous to have your guns taken away. Okay? And someone who may or may not have smoked weed in the last day or week or month or whatever, there was no showing they were dangerous. Okay. And what the federal courts have been doing with guns is to force the focus back on how were guns handled in 1791 and going forward. Now, first of all, there's no such thing as a controlled substance in 1791. So that's a different issue to have to deal with, because we've got this Controlled Substances Act now, and it captures certain substances, doesn't capture others, blah, 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 blah. But alcohol is far more dangerous for people operating a vehicle on the road or for having a gun than weed is. And I think we're beginning to see the focus narrow down to these realistic issues, okay? The Hunter Biden thing was just a huge mess because he was actively using cocaine. And they sort of tried to, tease out, when are you dangerous, when are you not? And, case got resolved. This one, I wouldn't resolve this thing at all. I'd make the courts clear to the federal Supreme Court, take a look at this. Because my view is that we need to take the entire federal law and throw it out, okay? But what they did in this case is they looked at how it was applied to this guy, Mr. Thomas, and the court said as it was applied, it was unconstitutional. They left open that it may be constitutional, so you can't possess a gun while you're an unlawful user of controlled substances. That term is so vague and ambiguous, I think it's unconstitutional on its face. They need to clarify that a little bit more. And the courts are going to force historical perspectives on us. And there just is no precedent for someone losing their gun rights permanently because occasionally they take an intoxicating substance. It just doesn't exist. And now the government, and Merrick Garland, these people are saying some outrageous, stupid shit like, oh, if you smoke weed, you're not going to properly store your gun. You're going to commit crimes to get your weed. It's like, oh, I'm a heroin addict and I'm going to flat back and steal copper or whatever I need to do. I'll rob a bank to get my heroin. People don't do that with weed. It does not apply. These parallels are clearly out of bounds for the reasoning here. And I'm hoping that the Supreme Court will take these cases up, maybe multiple of them, clear up what the federal government is allowed to do to take your gun rights away. Because historically, even if you went to prison, when you walked out, they gave you your guns back. Now we're in a point where I went to prison for growing some weed and tried to give it to sick people. I don't have gun rights anymore. Historically, there's no precedent for that, but here I am. So this kind of gets under my skin. They do this to people because the Second Amendment is pretty clear on, you can't take people's gun rights away. Now, we've allowed a few exceptions, but they are few and far between. And I want to see the focus now on factual findings, and the government has to prove that you were in fact dangerous at the time that they encountered you. Okay? And if the dangerousness does not continue, I don't think you should be able to take your guns away. So people who have a drink on Friday and Saturday night, they don't lose their gun rights. I grew up watching, the Andy Griffith Show. Every Friday and Saturday night, Otis stumbled in drunkard and Hogan's goat, locked himself in because he didn't want to be around his wife anymore. No one took his fucking gun rights away. And there's no way he should have been packing a gun in town, in Mayberry, okay? So historically, it just doesn't exist. And if you want to look at alcohol as a comparison for an intoxicating substance, these laws are going to fail miserably. I'm going to throw us back at you for your comment, but we'll continue to talk about this. It's an invasion of our Second Amendment rights because we smoke weed.
Did you say an invasion or invasion, Dale?
Invasion.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
And that's why they didn't let him have his bullets?
Say that again, Jenny Beth.
So do you think Barney Fife smoked weed and that's why he couldn't have his bullets, Dale?
He was a fucking idiot. He was the Dunning-Kruger. He's the definition of Dunning-Kruger.
As far as glaucoma.
Yes, yeah, man. This is another win for our side, Dale. You know what I'm saying? We got 2.
It's incremental.
Yeah.
It's not happening as fast as I'd like it to be.
You know what?
I'm pretty sure this court's going to kick somebody's ass over this.
You know what it's like, Dale? It's like we're building a statue of a cannabis leaf and a gun out of stone, and we just keep on chiseling away to come up with an amazing, beautiful creation of freedom.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, we just read that story about Florida. That is basically, Dale, correct me if I'm wrong, like I want to see what you think about this. That is essentially reinstilling cannabis users' rights, a Fourth Amendment right on the roadway. And in here, you're talking about reinstilling a Second Amendment right. Are there any other constitutional amendments that you kind of volunteer away with cannabis use? I'm just racking my brain.
Free speech.
Really?
Well,
come on.
Well,
it's true.
Yeah, the First Amendment can get implicated in this because there's an argument for religious use of it, and that there's a religious use argument for psychedelics too, and that's another one of my pet peeves: is leave people alone. Don't drive on psychedelics. I'll tell you from my own personal experience, it's stupid, but you should be able to do it. Not lose your rights, to free association, to practice your religion as you want, to be subject to, unwarranted searches. Okay? We could scratch and sniff here a lot, Cole. I see the incremental changes. They're just so slow. And how many people have been locked up and lost their rights already that are not going to get them back, even if the court makes a monumental decision here to throw these laws out? I'm not getting my gun rights back because of it.
Very, very true. What do you think about this, Stone, living out there in the great state of Texas where they shoot them up bang, bang all the time?
Y'all required to have guns out there, right, Stone?
Well, not in Austin.
For not having a gun in
Texas, the doctor slaps your ass and hands you a fucking Mossberg.
You come out with it. You're born with a gun in your hand.
When they pull you over, they're like, license, registration, firearm, please.
Yes,
exactly. Man, I think this is awesome. Obviously, this is awesome. It should happen more. It's a rarity. Like you said, just compare it to alcohol, and not even with a gun, just how many people every year are killed because of alcohol, not just with a gun, and then compared to cannabis, and it's like nobody is smoking a J and going home and killing the family. It's stupid old argument.
I know.
Not without anything else.
Yeah, I know a lot of prosecutors, and they have all admitted to me that they have never seen a case where there's a situation of guys smoking a joint and going and beating up his wife, or even crashing into a tree or anything like that. It's just not reality.
Y'all heard that? Jason Beck pals around with prosecutors.
I know lots of prosecutors.
Government doesn't want to have to parse that out. See, that's the problem here. They want to say, "Oh, we wrote this law. We're here telling you it applies. Don't ask any question." My response as attorneys, no, fucking prove it. Prove it. I'll bring experts in here all day long to poke holes in your case. They don't want to do that because they know objectively and scientifically they can't win. They don't want to have to face that. They want to stack the deck against these poor people who are going, "Hey, I didn't smoke weed in a week. You found a little, a roach in my ashtray. I lost my gun rights." That's fucking stupid. No.
Dale, how many kids?
Make them prove that you're dangerous.
How many kids do you have, Dale?
5.
Yep, Dale. That's what I thought.
Grandkids.
Yep. So that is proof that Dale loves to poke holes.
I will.
I got a couple.
You should be allowed to have. You should be allowed to have at least one gun for every kid you have.
At least.
I had more than that. My kids all have my guns now.
All right. Well,
I couldn't have.
As it should, man.
Hold on, Jason.
Okay,
I just wanted to say this for Rico real quick.
Yeah.
I think you said that nobody blames shootings on cannabis. Well, Laura Ingram did and has.
No, that was Jason that said that.
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah,
guys. And of course, it was one of Jason's right wing.
I actually know Laura. I've had a number of conversations with her in regards to this, and we're going to go to a commercial. And we're going to be right back.
We got
Oh,
four
yes,
people in
and
there.
we're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, we want to make sure that you know that you can find them directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And big thank you to all of our viewers out there. We super, super appreciate you guys so much, because on January 6th, that's right, we surpassed 1,200,000 views on this channel. So thank you all so much. We definitely appreciate it.
Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right, Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry. Secure up to $2 million today, and make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9.
Every childhood memory I've ever had.
We're
Scott.
back.
Yeah, rough. All right, y'all. Up next, who we got next, Jason?
We got Stone Slade, bro.
Oh, yeah. Up next, coming up from the great purple state of Texas.
It's red,
and
bro. You must be colorblind.
Jason Beck's favorite city of ATX.
The ATX.
It's Austin,
Yeah.
bro. It's Austin. It's only ATX for people that can't read or are dyslexic and shit.
Yeah, here to get under Jason's skin and hit him with a little bit of high road rhetoric is none other than the most beautiful white man this side of the Mississippi, Stone Slade. Pause.
Thank you, Rico. Love it, buddy. Appreciate it. Hold on. I had my phone turned off. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. Are you back from Colorado?
I am back from Colorado. I had spent a lot of good time up there.
Mhm. All that
Maybe
dry
soon,
ass weed, huh?
when I return. No. My story today is out in Hollywood, where again we do, wish everybody the best out there. But it's a light story, so let's all be happy here. Some people take New Year, New You to a different level, but when it comes to entertainment, it's not just personal goals that evolve, it's our perception of everyday life. And in 2025, you know what's becoming undeniably mainstream? Cannabis. It's gone from back alley punchline to primetime guest star. Just look at HBO Max's highly acclaimed show Hacks, the annual Golden Globes, an event that's been around since 1944 to honor artists, writers, and creatives. May not have had a literal cannabis category, but cannabis won big in spirit. Among the winners was Hacks, the Whip Smart series led by the talented veteran Gene Smart. The show is clever, witty, and adept at turning life's most mundane moments into laugh-out-loud scenarios. Yet beneath the humor is a subtle yet profound reflection of modern society's evolving views on cannabis. In Hacks, cannabis use isn't a gimmick, it's a character developmental tool, especially for Ava Daniels, played brilliantly by Hannah Einbinder. Ava's casual cannabis consumption is portrayed as part of her everyday life, a relatable, authentic choice for a young writer navigating the ups and downs of her career. There's no after-school special tone here. Instead, it's a nod to reality, especially considering Einbinder's real-life experience of using cannabis to mitigate the effects of ADHD medication. The contrast between Ava's laid-back approach to cannabis and Deborah Vance's old-school skepticism is one of the show's most effective running themes. Deborah, played by Gene Smart, represents a generation that grew up when cannabis was met with judgment, or at very least caution. Meanwhile, Ava's attitude is reflective of younger generations from whom cannabis is about as controversial as oat milk in your coffee. This interplay between the two characters not only sets up hilarious scenes, but also highlights the broader generation shift, how society views cannabis. In one memorable moment, Deborah questions Ava about the absurd room service bill, only to discover that Ava's munchie-fueled indulgence is to blame. It's a perfect example of how the show uses cannabis humor without making it the entire punchline. It's another part of life, as unremarkable as a late-night ice cream run. Excuse me. This normalization of cannabis mirrors a larger trend in television, showing shows like Broad City paved the way with their irrelevant, hilarious take on stoner culture. Meanwhile, the most recent season of The Voice took a tongue-in-cheek approach when Snoop Dogg joined as a coach, with many references to his personal green room on the show, which was an air-conditioned RV used for his safety meetings, which led also to Jimmy Kimmel to joke on his show that fellow coach Michael Bublé had been blue blazing, and even animated shows like Disenchantment have nodded to cannabis use, just showing how across genres, the plant has seamlessly woven itself into storylines without the outdated slippery slope warnings. What makes Hack stand out, though, is its refusal to moralize or sensationalize, unlike the very special episodes of the past that treated cannabis as a grave misstep or a dramatic turning point. Hacks treats it like life. The show's writers understand the audiences don't need lectures. They're living the reality, one where organizations, like AARP have acknowledged the benefits of cannabis use. Cannabis in media has come a long way from being a punchline to being portrayed with nuance, humor, and authenticity. Hacks isn't just a show that happens to feature cannabis. It's a reflection of our collective embrace of something that was once regulated to whisper jokes. So if you're looking for an example of how far we've come, look no further than the sharp and witty words of Deborah Vance and Ava Daniels. And the next time you reach for the remote, remember, sometimes the real stars of the show are the subtle details that help us laugh, connect, and reflect on just how much life has changed. I'm Stone Slade with the High at 9 News.
And some Hollywood, getting into the weeds.
Hollyweed.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hollywood. They're treating it right. I like it. Mary Jane's been back of the bus, treated bad and down and dirty, and it's nice to see. It's just becoming a normality.
Has anybody here seen the show that they're referencing?
I've seen it.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
Do you just compare cannabis to Rosa Parks?
Hey, listen, I was just comparing. Mary Jane has had a rough ride. That's all I'm saying.
More like Emmett Till, the way we had our shit kicked out of us for so many years.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Was that a bad reference? Did I do a foot in the mouther?
Yeah,
what happened?
Look at Rico's face.
Yeah.
In my lifetime,
I got nothing.
Okay, we all know that it's nothing but love from you, Stone. But
Rico gets mad when I talk about black eyes. He goes crazy with it.
Hold on. I think the only people here that have ever seen me mad are you, Jenny Beth, and you, Jason Beck, and that's behind the scenes for nothing we talk about on the show.
Hold on, you were mad one day on the show. You were mad one day on the show.
I wasn't mad.
You were triggered. You were definitely triggered.
I was more mad because I was in a position where I couldn't say something back.
He wasn't mad. He was disappointed, Jason.
Yeah.
That's cute. That's a cute save, Jenny Beth. Cute save. I'm not buying the bullshit. Keep slanging that shit.
I ain't slinging that shit. I'm making a manifest right now to sling this shit.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's about time Hollywood recognized the cultural changes.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from high school in 72 and already smoking weed, but you couldn't let people know outside your little circle, or it was like admitting you were gay. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was just a death knell for your career. And when I was starting in the practice of law, I would go out in my car and smoke weed with a bunch of people, but we had to put cologne on and go back in the office because no one could know, because you're not supposed to openly say that you smoke weed. It's about time we were able to admit that rather than taking a drink or along with a drink, I like to, smoke a bowl. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's fine. Why would that make you a bad person? And that's what happened when I was younger. If you did this, you were, this is your brain on drugs type of bullshit. It's not that anymore. And the fact that alcohol causes so many cancer deaths each year and weed causes none, that is resonating with folks because the consumption of alcohol is decreasing. Use of cannabis is increasing, which is better for our health. It's just a healthier option, and we should not be made to be bad people or immoral people or sinners or whatever they tried to do to us. And it's not all Cheech and Chong either. Mm-hmm. Regular people smoke weed. They manage to have their life together. They're not, jumping off buildings and acting stupid. And you can, but it's incorporated more into our life, and it should be.
Yeah, and anyone that wants to be a Bible thumper in regards with beating down cannabis, I would remind them first off, don't judge or you shall be judged. And secondly, they need to go back and read the Old Testament of Genesis 1:29.
Jason with the 11th commandment, don't judge or you'll be judged. Mm-hmm. Straight out of the Trump edition Bible.
Hey, the Trump edition Bible is great. It's great. It's got pictures and everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right out of Gutenberg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus.
But Stone, so you're the only one that has watched the show. Am I correct on this?
Correct.
What did you think of it? Did you think that they did a good job with it overall, as far as like with the production, the screenplay, and all of that? You know what I'm saying? All that Hollywoodness with it.
I mean, it's a decent, funny show. My wife and I found it, I don't remember, last year or something. We went through the however many seasons were out, and
you guys binge watch it. You binge watched it.
Yeah, we binge watched it.
Okay.
It's funny. It is what it is.
Right.
What is?
All
it's
right.
an aging old comedian that's used to be on top and finds this young writer to work with her, and they have funny interactions.
Awesome.
It's not all it's not all about cannabis, but it is part of just what Ava's she gets through her day, like many of us.
One final question before we move on, Stone. In this show, do we know what she ordered from room service that got her in trouble with the bill? Like what were her stoner snacks?
Oh man, I don't remember. It was a bunch of. I have a horrible memory for this stuff.
Oh man, bro, that's the most important thing. Did she order like desserts or you know what I'm saying? Like, did they just like? Was it like she was like at a Holiday Inn and they just had like bags of Doritos or something? You know what I mean?
No. It was fancy hotel.
It was fancy hotel. Okay, so it was like desserts and like you know what I'm saying? Could have been a smoothie involved and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was an overdone scene for sure, but it was funny.
Did the room service guy come in wearing white gloves, pushing the cart?
Jason,
because they should have. But nonetheless, all right, we're gonna keep this rolling. We're gonna roll into our final commercial. And we're gonna be right back. Are you all ready for America's new #1 D9 gummy line? That's right. We are bringing to you Parody Gummy. These vegan gummies are manufactured in a safe harbor facility, so you know they're going to be clean and safe, and they're not going to give you any of the runaround. Coming in, we have 3 amazing flavors for you. We have the Raspberry Riots. Also, we have the Sleepy Joes if you need something to help you sleep at night. And if you're feeling like raging and having a party time, that's right, we have the Pineapple Bad Hombre. If you're feeling like a bad hombre, make sure you head over to www.parodygummy.com and secure your bag today. Oh, and we are back, you guys, and we are going to roll right into the man who is named after a memo and loves to portray the Cole memo constantly. That's right. He's the man who puts the S and the noise in Illinois. That's right. And you can check out his website and his channel, the Chillinois podcast, from none other than Mr. Cole Preston, the Cole memo himself.
Audience is cheering.
Yes.
How's everybody doing? Thank you for bringing me back on. Jason's bringing out Bible quotes before we get into our story. Leviticus 20:27, a man or woman who is a medium or necromancer shall surely be put to death. They shall be stoned. I'm stoned. Anyways, let's...
Well, we got Stone right next to you, too.
That's right. That's right. Well, we've got an interesting story today.
No question, right?
Necromancer. Yeah. So in my last article at thecolememo.com, which, by the way, Jason forgot to mention it's one of his favorite policy memos from one of his favorite presidents, Barack Obama.
Boy.
Anyways, go to colememo.com to check out my work. In my last article, I wrote about the lame duck legislative session in Illinois, which just recently ended. Ahead of the session, industry stakeholders intensified their efforts to advance policy amendments to House Bill 2911, which, for folks that aren't from Illinois, this was a House bill that would aim to update the Illinois Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, which created what we know as legal cannabis in Illinois. I say that with air quotes because I don't feel like it's very legal if you can still get arrested for as many silly things as you can in this state, but we'll move on from that. In addition to proposed amendments to the CRTA, Governor Pritzker expressed support for a bill that would have effectively criminalized the local sale of federally legal cannabis, what we also call hemp. Notably, the measure did not prohibit online sales from out-of-state retailers like Parody Gummy. Instead, the bill would have introduced $10,000 daily fines and criminal penalties, which would exclusively target in-state retailers who sell hemp-derived legal THC products and even CBD, which was a crazy part of the bill. Both measures ultimately failed to be called for a vote. Now, there's been this question out in the broader sphere here in Illinois. Did the ban lack support? Governor Pritzker has publicly claimed that the measure had enough support to pass the House, a sentiment some of his closest advisors have reiterated to me in off-record conversations. And while he's claimed that, outlets like Crain's Chicago have reported that Speaker Welch, the Speaker of the House, has privately maintained the votes weren't there within the caucus. That sentiment was echoed in reporting by ABC7 Chicago, which noted that Welch's spokesperson stated, "A lengthy caucus discussion found that the bill in its current form did not have enough support within the House Democratic caucus. He is committed to continuing discussions so that when the bill ultimately passes, it is the best possible piece of legislation for the state of Illinois." WBEZ Chicago also reported that a source close to the governor claimed bill proponents had secured 62 votes to pass it. However, during an afternoon Democratic caucus meeting, a heated debate ensued, resulting in several votes peeling away and leaving proponents below the 60-vote threshold set by Illinois House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch. So apparently, during this debate, Governor Pritzker's staff and departmental experts faced intense criticism and accusations while they were presenting information about the proposed ban on federally legal cannabis products. According to Pritzker, his staffers, which he described as top-tier professionals with no political agenda, were invited to the meeting to answer questions and provide clarity to lawmakers. Pritzker claimed that the meeting quickly became heated and that hostility escalated to the point where one staffer, overwhelmed by accusations and allegedly reduced to tears, left the meeting. Pritzker said that the individual felt frightened after being called a liar and pointed at by opponents of the bill. He condemned the behavior as unacceptable and emphasized the need for an apology from lawmakers. He also expressed concerns that incidents like these could deter professionals from working in state government. Now, what remains unclear, what's next, right? It remains unclear whether Governor Pritzker would support a bill that mandates testing, truth in labeling, and restrictions on the sale of federally legal cannabis products to minors without directly handing that market over to a limited and tightly controlled number of businesses that are licensed under the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act. In response to all of this fervor, for lack of better words, Representative Sonia Harper introduced House Bill 5903, which is a bill that's aimed at addressing the valid concerns that have come up during this debate over these federally legal cannabis products. The legislation proposes that we regulate hemp products through mandatory testing, truth in labeling requirements, and age restrictions. And unlike previous proposals, this proposal avoids measures that unfairly target or favor specific businesses while also steering clear of criminalizing these products. The language from House Bill 5903 was recently reintroduced as House Bill 64 at the start of the 104th General Assembly in Illinois, which was just inaugurated yesterday. Pritzker has previously acknowledged that the CRTA was intentionally designed to restrict the number of licenses, reasoning that, quote, having too many dispensaries, end quote, would mean people, quote, can't make money, end quote. In short, the CRTA was built on a foundation that limits participation in order to sustain high prices, a system that directly fuels the ongoing criminalization of cannabis, which, selfish plug, this concept is explored in depth in my mini documentary available for free streaming at colememo.com/minidoc. To close out my story, the future of a proposal like House Bill 2911, which I briefly mentioned at the beginning of this story, which is often referred to as the Cannabis Omnibus, remains uncertain. It's aimed, like I said earlier, at amending the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, and its fate ultimately hinges on ongoing discussions around access and market control and how lawmakers ultimately balance these competing priorities. People might remember some allegations about Green Thumb Industries potentially lobbying against this bill in the past. There's certainly been a lot of controversy. As High at 9, I believe High at 9 might have been the only other outlet to report this bill would have, as I mentioned earlier, take away police's right to search on the basis of the smell of raw cannabis. Unfortunately, due to law enforcement objections, the sponsor of the legislation took that language out, which she was thanked for, by the way. I've got a quote here. Senator McClure said there was some discussion about taking away the mandate for odor-proof cannabis containers, and I appreciate the fact that the sponsor worked with law enforcement to take that out, because that, of course, would open us up to potentially having people run cannabis through our state and cause a big issue with drug-sniffing dogs. We got to take care of our drug-sniffing dogs, people. So to close, WBEZ Chicago previously reported that Representative LaShawn Ford said that the cannabis omnibus bill, which would have addressed some of those things that I was talking about, also lacked the votes needed for passage, which is really unfortunate because it's been nearly 6 years since we legalized cannabis, and there hasn't been any legislation that has really been meaningful reform that has gotten past the finish line. So what do you think, High at Niners? What do you think? That's my story for this week.
Oh, man.
We have to have safe spaces and trigger words in the legislature now where you feel afraid and I'm going to go out and piss myself. I mean, if you're going to be in the legislature, you better have a backbone because it's bare knuckles. And, I felt afraid. Well, call the sergeant at arms. I don't know what to say. This struggles over this take people that are not pusillanimous. So you just leave it there. And the problems with changing these laws, I mean, I'm in California here, and we can't get our legislature to do diddly squat, try and fix the problems we have in Kansas, because they're locked into, I've got power, I've got control, I'm getting money coming to me, therefore I don't want to upset the apple cart, while we're watching our friends and my clients eye on the vine. So the government just can't find its ass with both hands right now, and it's just hard to watch.
I totally agree. This is a great story, Illinois, Cole Memo, and shout out to Illinois for, you know what I'm saying, actually doing something in regards to doing nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just say, if my last comment before I want to get others' thoughts, like when, as Dale said, somebody said they were crying. I don't know that it was this individual, but if they were being called,
you're an investigative reporter, bro. Stop it.
If they were being called liars and stuff, maybe they were lying. They said things like, this is a quote from our head cannabis regulator: hemp harms not only the cannabis industry, but most importantly, it's poisoning the people in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, we all know that's gaslighting right there. I can smell the lighter fluid from here. I can smell the lighter fluid from here with that.
If you can't handle being called a liar, you got no business being in the legislature.
That's true. That's true, Dale. You know what I'm saying? That's 100% right. If you can't be called what you are, you shouldn't probably be there.
Well, and politicians like to, give you a little bit of truth and then a whole lot of bullshit. It's what they like to do. And if in my world, it's the truth and the whole truth, which is hard for people to swallow. So you call people out for bullshit. And if you're that, thin skin, like I said, don't be in politics. You need to be called what you are. And even if it's bullshit, you got to put your chin up and go out and maybe punch somebody in the mouth yourself.
That's right. Shout out, Dale. Shout out to punches in the mouth. Speaking of,
I used to stab people on the witness stand, metaphorically. They'd be lying. I'd just stick it right in them and walk away and watch them bleed.
Just put a fork in them and watch them be done, right?
As the jury's looking at you like, you fucking idiot. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Well, court is the best theatrics of them all.
I think our politicians just need diapers a little too much. They need to grow a spine and do what they were hired to do. Go in there and stand up and tell people, I represent these people. I'm going to do what I need to do to represent them. And I'll work with you. Otherwise, you're a rattlesnake. I'll stay out of your bite distance and work this thing out. But don't be a sissy, for God's
You know what I think? You know what I think they need, Dale? They need what all those college sissies had were having for a while. Those remember those pink padded crying rooms? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just think this whole hemp issue is solved with 3 simple initiatives. 3, and this is from attorney Rod Kite, who's a cannabis.
Oh yeah, shout out to Rod Kite, man. Yes,
yeah,
out of the
on
great
the
state
Cole
of
memo a few times.
Tennessee, or North Carolina. Sorry.
Yeah. There's 3 simple solutions. I believe he calls it the 3-pillar approach.
Mm-hmm.
We should mandate testing.
I'm good with that.
Mandate truth in labeling.
Mm-hmm.
And we should not allow people that are considered to be minors. And I'm actually open for a debate on if that's 18 or 21.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most people think 21. So, okay, sure. Those are the 3 solutions: testing, labeling, age gating, hemp problem solved. Mm-hmm. Now, the difference between what the governor was pushing is that he wanted this to be under his tightly regulated system, where there's a limited, a limited.
He wanted to overtax and overregulate it, so that way it filled up their coffers, and their special interests could control it and monopolize it, and then that way they could create the price control variance and really price gouge the market.
And that's just it. Look, I'm a cannabis consumer. I have no aspirations to get into the business, but as a consumer, I want to be able to vote with my dollars legally, and I can't do that until everybody's on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference between what Pritzker was pushing. Mm-hmm. He wanted to limit the amount of people that could be on the ballot.
Well, I mean, that's what Democrats often do. You know what I'm saying? Well, speaking of, this was a fantastic report, Cole. Thank you so much for sharing this. And we are way over time today, and we still have one more story. That's right. We have America's sweetheart herself, Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis that can help you with all of your compliance needs, as she's been working right now doing metric and all kinds of fun stuff like that, making sure that her clients are compliant. That's right. She also is the founder of Justice Serve, a 501c3 that can help justice-impacted individuals get their lives back on track. And that's right. Here to tell us a dang or two with her southern twang is none other than America's sweetheart, Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Yeah, so the trick to this show is to have some shit to do before your story is called. And then text Jason rampantly and be like, here's my hard stop. Here's my hard stop. We'll keep it rolling. So a little bit of good news. I actually like this report. It's a short story, kind of straight to the point. Obviously, I never read the whole story, so you guys can get my summation. But New Jersey did a good thing because New Jersey's cannabis industry is making strides in diversity. According to the State Cannabis Regulatory Commission, 47% of adult use cannabis licenses issued actually have been awarded to majority minority-owned businesses. Additionally, 44% of those licenses were granted to majority women-owned or majority disabled veteran-owned enterprises. The data shows progress. While just 10% of businesses in New Jersey are Black-owned, 17% of cannabis licenses went to Black-owned entities, and 13% were awarded to Asian-owned businesses, despite representing only 10% of the state's business landscape. As of November 2025, 338 cannabis business licenses and permits are in operation, generating over $43 million in tax revenue and more than $2 million in social equity excise fees this year. Flower continues to dominate as the top-selling product, making it 41% of the market, followed by vape cartridges at 29% and edibles at 14%. Don't know why we care about that. However, local adoption remains a hurdle, with only 36% of municipalities allowing cannabis operations. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll talk about how New Jersey's evolving. So yes, it is good that we are awarding to minority-owned businesses and minority woman-owned businesses, right? Let's also acknowledge that I was on a license application in New Jersey, and I pulled myself off of it because I was trying to be used, although I'm the only person with fucking experience, although I'm the only person who could run that business and could tell the difference between that business and a hole in my ass. I was trying to be used as a token. They thought they were going to take over the business. So, I mean, we need to be cognizant that while we're awarding these licenses to these majority owned, that the straw deals in the back actually are allowing for the proper profit sharing, as well as for actual control of the business. So Colorado saw it when they first rolled out the industry. Everybody's wife's name was on the license. Why? Because they got preferential processing because their wife's name was on the application instead of whatever dude you actually are owning the business. So I think that's really important. It also made for some really interesting divorces, by the way. But yeah, so it looks good. The stats look good. I just always want to encourage you guys to look under the hood and see what's actually going on and make sure that those are actually being owned and operated by the people who are supposed to be doing such. So going back to you guys.
Big shout out to New Jersey. We've reported good stuff from them before, but it just seems like they've been quietly doing, I mean, they started slow, if I remember, but they've been quietly doing the right things, whether it was a free medical cards or whatever to the whole thing with, now they've got the police are fighting the laws because they don't want the cops to be able to smoke on their off time. Props to New Jersey. I think they've been quietly doing the right thing, especially with the shit show across the water.
Speaking of all that, I agree. New Jersey overall, I think they've done a pretty good job with their rollout, and I really love their X battles when the regulatory agencies go to war, and start talking shit about one another on that. That has always been fun to watch. So I'm glad that they have some good spirits over there at their Office of Cannabis Management in New Jersey. But the one thing that I wonder about, Jenny Beth, in this is, yes, this is a great story, and good story, especially a great way to end last story of the day. But I just wonder, when it goes to Schedule 3, does that mean that a majority of their businesses aren't going to succeed? Because once it goes to Schedule 3, how many of these people are going to qualify for a DEA license?
Ain't none of us getting a fucking DEA license, Jason.
Okay, so you're saying 100% of them then? So
100% of any fucking licensed company right now that is not a multi-billion-dollar MSO or already has pharmaceutical ties in the United States of America, if we go to Schedule 3, is going to be fucked in the butt.
Don't throw food in New Jersey. This is a nice story. Let's keep it nice. Come on. Hey, isn't New Jersey also the only state where there's like a couple big insurance companies got on board with paying for medical? I think that was New Jersey.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Stone. There was something around there that we have covered here. Yeah, we did cover a story like that here.
I tried, but look what Jason did.
I know.
What do you mean? I just wanted to make sure I brought a little bit of reality to the situation.
I already brought the reality of the situation by explaining that even though they own them, they usually are not, the actual beneficial owner. But
I brought a little more reality.
Yeah. Okay.
Well. Big thank yous, everyone. Thank you all for getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank yous to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing today. Thank you to Cole Meadow coming in and filling in for Rochelle while she's out on vacation in Jamaica, you guys. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this. Thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Millie in the building today. Thank you so much, Millie, for coming in. We hope everything is all right and you are doing okay. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show, and we're going to give the last word out to Stone Slade, who wants to plug Hitting the High Road out on his YouTube channel. So go for it, Stone. It's all you, my man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Good to have you on, Cole. Great to meet you today. I want to invite all you bad hombres.
Oh, nice.
My Instagram channel and check out the post. There's a 5-minute preview of the pilot on the post. You can get to the full video on my Instagram bio. Enjoy responsibly. Take a whole bunch of these things.
Yes. Shout out to Parody Gummy.
We'll see you next week.
I love it.
See you next week. We'll see you tomorrow.
Much love, Stone. Thanks so much. Make sure you check out Stone's video, Hitting the High Road. You know what I'm saying? We're looking for some funding to produce this thing. So if you are interested in possibly assisting with stuff like that, make sure that you hit the DMs and send us some messages.